actually, believe it or not, I was actually a lead in a performance at Disney.
At Disney?
Yeah, at Disney.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, the Jedi Training Academy was like one of the most popular shows there, and I was the Jedi Master.
Oh, that's great. So you're using the Force.
That's
using
right.
the Force on the kids.
This will be a great podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to the Pioneers of Possibility podcast. I'm your host, Kareem Afzal. And on this podcast, we focus on our guests, their experiences that have driven them to create meaningful change in the world, their organizations, and the communities that they serve. I'm really thrilled today to have Norman Vossschulte from the Philadelphia Eagles. Welcome, Norman.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, it's great. So, Norman, tell us a little bit about yourself and your position here at the Eagles.
So, oh man, where do I start? I'm originally from Germany. Came over here in 96, but I lived all over the world. I've lived in Africa for 5 years, in the Middle East for 3 years, in Spain for a year, and worked for Disney for 5 years. And now I've been with the Eagles for going on my 14th season.
14th season.
Yeah. And you know what? Ever since I got here, we're starting to win Super Bowls. So
there you go. You're the good luck charm.
Maybe.
So what took you to all these different places in the world?
So my dad's a doctor, and he worked for a German engineering firm, and so we lived in all these different places. And then I actually studied in Germany, got my degree in biology over there. I did my pre-med kind of, but then didn't want to become a doctor. And then I decided I'm going to go move to New York and become an actor.
An actor?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then somehow, I don't know, man, it led me to working for Disney, and then the Eagles recruited me, and here I am working in sustainability and fan experience.
So from biology to acting.
Yeah.
Did you act when you were a kid and in school?
My mom was a fashion designer. I think I have a creative bone in me, a performer bone in me. And so I always thought, man, I loved America. And I was like, I got to go to America, and I got to, when you see these old movies and, I loved it. And so I was like, I got to do something like that. And I did do some stuff like that. I actually, believe it or not, I was actually a lead in a performance at Disney.
At Disney?
Yeah, at Disney.
That's fantastic.
The Jedi Training Academy was like one of the most popular shows there, and I was the Jedi Master.
Oh, that's great. So you're using the Force.
That's
using
right.
the Force on the kids.
This will be a great podcast. All right, great.
Oh, that's fantastic. Were you a Star Wars fan growing up?
Oh, yeah. Total Star Wars fan.
Who isn't?
Come on, right?
You grew up in Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know anything about American football?
I didn't really, although at that time we had like this, in Germany, there was this league popping up from the NFL, right? This NFL Europe, right? And we had the Frankfurt Galaxy. And so we did see some games on TV, and we were like, oh, what is this sport you call American football, And so I kind of knew a little bit about it, and obviously, some about rugby, and you kind of get this idea of football, but no, I grew up with soccer. Formula One, those were kind of like the sports my dad watched, and so
That's good. Who is your German football team?
Eintracht Frankfurt, which is funny because I grew up with them, but they're actually the German Eagles. So their crest is yes. I mean, their goalie just left, and he'd been there for years and years and years, and he said, "Once an Eagle, always an Eagle." I was like, "Yo." Literally, as a kid, I was a fan of the Eagles in Germany, and now the Eagles here. So,
as fortune would have it, here you go.
That's how life works sometimes. Yeah.
That's great. So from Disney, the Eagles recruited you.
Yep.
So, what position came about that?
Yeah, you know what? I think they were just, they recruited someone, it didn't work out. Then they recruited someone, it didn't work out. And I think eventually they were like, yo, just hire the next guy. And then eventually got to me, And then, hey, I was the fortunate guy that came here. I don't know if they still regret that decision or, but it's been an amazing journey. I actually wrote some staff educational material for the Disney University. They do have that at Walt Disney World. And I actually was teaching there for some sessions. And so part of that fit into the job description of fan experience and just enhancing some of the staff experience here at the Eagles. And so they wanted to hire someone from Disney back then. And I was lucky enough to.
And Disney is legendary in their customer service mantra.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, hey, the keys to excellence, show, courtesy, efficiency, right? And I think there was a big push, I think, in the NFL around 2012 to get the Disney way into the fan experience at stadiums, right? Because football always had this like, ooh, it's rough and tough, and can you take your kids, And so there was a big focus on just, creating an experience for the fans. And so I think Some teams hired Disney to help them with their training. And then the Eagles said, hey, let's just hire someone from Disney for our staff training. So I got here, I retrained the entire building, and it's been an awesome journey.
But I have to say, as somebody who goes to a lot of games, the fan experience with Philadelphia Eagles is certainly highest in the league.
Awesome. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
We'll get into the fan experience. But as you came here and you retrained the building and you put into place this mantra of providing a different environment in the stadiums, you somehow got involved in sustainability.
Yeah.
So what were the...
Isn't it funny when you somehow in life, remember when I told you I studied biology, you know? So I love nature. I love the planet. I love, how I believe that we're just really biologically part of the planet. And that if we do what we're supposed to do, then we could really live in harmony with the planet, But we also get in the way of ourselves a lot, because of convenience. And so when I heard that the Eagles already, by the way, when I joined, had a world-class sustainability program driven right from our ownership and then filtering through to our operations in the stadium, I was really interested in that. And then they said, hey, I know, I was a spokesperson at one point at the Eagles, and they said, hey, we need a spokesperson for our sustainability because there's quite a bit of media interest. Could you help us out? And I said, absolutely, of course, I can combine my biology and I can combine my acting degree, and here we go. And then a few years later now, it's been an amazing journey in our sustainability efforts here as well.
And how did it start? What was the genesis of sustainability for the Eagles? It started before you got here, but I think to your knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, look, ownership in 2003, basically when the stadium was built over there, said, hey, we're a corporate citizen. We have a responsibility. Let's figure this out. The stadium wasn't really built in 2003 with sustainability in mind. Nowadays, people, they look at LEED certification. How can we build a stadium? So to retrofit a building like that is actually quite difficult. But our operations department, and with, driven by our ownership's, just kind of charge, has done an amazing job. And they said, hey, let's figure out our waste. Let's figure out our energy. Let's figure out corporate partnerships, because that's so important when you want to build a sustainability program for a sports team or in a stadium. And we've been really successful with it. Like I said, when I joined, we were already kind of a pioneer as far as sports teams and stadiums in the world. And so it was pretty easy to jump right in and say well, yeah, we have the largest solar power plant in the world of any stadium. The real innovation, I think, started happening when corporate partners really came and said hey, we want to be part of this.
If I understand correctly, this is the first professional sports stadium to be LEED certified in the United States?
That is actually a good question. The first professional sports team, we are certainly the oldest stadium to be LEED Platinum certified. We were also, to our knowledge, we were one of the first stadiums to be LEED certified. Yes.
Okay.
Now I might get back to you and say yeah, you were right. I should know this. But we are really proud, because for an existing building that was built in 2003 to be LEED Platinum certified it's really, really hard to achieve. And yes, we are the oldest stadiums to have achieved that. And we're really proud of that.
So let's talk about some of the programs that you do in the stadium, right? So you have the biggest solar power plant.
Yep.
That offsets all event usage, or it comes close?
No, it produces about 40% of our annual energy consumption. Okay. And what we do is we don't store it on site. We did some feasibility studies, but really it's better to send it into the grid and get a credit on your bill. The rest we offset by purchasing carbon credits. So we're run on 100% green energy.
100% green energy.
Yeah.
Food waste.
Yeah. So people always ask me about this, right? But it's really important to, when young people now, even in some Ivy Leagues, you can study this now, sports and sustainability, right? You really have to learn your location and what your location offers. We used to have a composting plant near Philadelphia. That got shut down. There was too much contamination. And so the only composting plant we could find was literally in the Poconos. So we still utilize that, but then you have to take into account that you're hauling all that waste, right? So you have to offset that. And so we do offset pre-consumer food waste at this place called 2 Particular Acres, and they're very particular about what they take.
Okay.
Then you have to be creative.
This is the composting.
Yeah.
2 Particular Acres is the composting facility.
Then you have to get creative, right? So we installed biodigesters at one point. We still have one here at the training facility. That didn't really work at the stadium. So then you look into biodigesting, and you look into, well, how, is there a possibility of sorting out a lot of this food waste? Can some of it be donated? So you just have to get creative with those things, Some of it goes to energy from waste in the stadium, but we do try to be very specific about how much really does go into the waste stream.
To run a sustainability program, it takes, of course, your corporate partners. It takes people here and the staff.
Yeah.
how do innovation ideas get vetted, right? So does it mainly come from partners, ideas? Some rocket scientists in the Eagles come up with a crazy idea to do a program. Some of those things take money, they take time, they take energy, somewhat.
I think you said the golden
human
word there,
capital.
Right? You have to vet this, right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then I would just come up with ideas. I have plenty of ideas, but most of them don't pan out. I think, we're very happy to have a sustainability partner, a consultant, who has been in this business for many, many, many years. She's also the chief sustainability officer for a large company now. And we really trust her. She studied this stuff, and she has a whole company behind her that does this. And so we do vet through her, and we say like, hey, should we look into this? Because like you just alluded, there is so much out there, and you have to sift through it. We're really in the business of winning Lombardi trophies, 2 already, and going for a third. So and we're a smaller organization, right? You have like 300 plus working here, and that's coaches, and that's really our day job, right? And so we're not in the business of sitting here and trying to figure this out. We really need expertise from our corporate partners and then from a sustainability consultant to help us with that.
That's great. And one of the ideas from PDC Machines, our company, brought here was the hydrogen station, which is sitting at the east side of the stadium.
Yeah. The amount of questions we receive about that, and we've actually had a few fans call and say like, well, is it usable?
Can they fuel?
Can they refuel? So I was like, wow, we know too little about it, but it's definitely stirred the pot of, hey, we want to learn more about this. So that's good.
So in a previous discussion that we had during one of the events, you talked about FIFA. Sustainability was a very important part of bringing games here to Lincoln Financial Field. Tell me a little bit about what they were looking for and how the Eagles are able to make that happen.
Well, I think FIFA, just like the International Olympic Committee, they not only do they put on these incredible athletic events that brings the world together, but they also know that they have quite an impact on each city that they're in, on the country they're in. And so the social impact as well as the sustainability impact is important to these companies. FIFA, it was part of the bidding process, actually. It was, I think at this point, it's a LEED certification that is part of the requisite to host a FIFA World Cup game. Well, of course, we wrote down like, are we LEED certified? Of course we are. Yeah. Not just that, but silver, but gold, but now platinum. No, we're super happy that we have some amazing people that work on this stuff, and we certainly are not in the business of just patting ourselves on the back, but always looking at what's next. And so we are working with FIFA. I'm in regular meetings with them about sustainability. I talk to other teams because some of the teams are just starting with this stuff. And so we help out. We always like to say we're rivals on the field, but off the field, sustainability, we're partners. And so we work on this together, and it's very important to FIFA. It's important to us, and so I think it's good symbiosis, good marriage right there on sustainability, and hopefully we can have a real lasting impact.
You talked about talking to other teams. Is that amongst a variety of sports, or particularly just in the NFL?
Yes, I would say amongst a variety of sports, but in the NFL as well. I do sit on a group that kind of has started this for the NFL, the sustainability group that we work through with community relations in the NFL. But also, I sit on the board of the Green Sports Alliance, and that's all sports in the world. I go to a couple conferences a year where we share our story. We hear stories from others, where we innovate. We talk about those things, and we figure out what's next. And so I would say, yes, all sports. The one thing I will say is it's really interesting when you're part of these conversations, because you do hear how certain climate changes impact some sports and not others. So this idea of sustainability kind of is really taking quite a bit of different interests and trying to find innovative solutions. And I'll give you an example. I talked to Omar Mitchell. He's the sustainability vice president of sustainability for the NHL. And he said, for us, it's very important that youth learn ice hockey. Well, back in the day, anywhere in America, North America, in Canada, there was 6 months of the year you could just go on ice. That's not the case anymore. Yeah, on the pond.
And the frozen
and that was just part of just playing, And if that's not there anymore, and now you have to pay to play, are you really developing those athletes of the future, And I was like, wow, those are some of the things that we don't necessarily think of, right? We're like, hey, we like it when there's no snow because we have to remove snow, and that costs a lot of money, But then we realized this really impacts so many different entities in such different ways, so that we're really all in this together. And I think it's important to learn from each other how this all impacts us is as a whole, because I think then you know that you're working for the greater good and not just for your little niche.
Yeah, certainly the warming planet is affecting those things. So as a kid, I'm almost 50. So as a kid, I was able to skate on frozen lakes and ponds.
So was I.
And you can't do that anymore. Anywhere. So
No.
So some sports have an existential crisis unless they're bringing players from Finland and Sweden and northern parts in Canada. And I would say the intensity of the storms are also increasing. Right. So like what happened at the Eagles Cowboys game, where the game had to be stopped for this very short period of this wild, intense electrical storm coming over the field. So it really is an existential crisis among sports all over the world. As you serve on the Great Sports Alliance board, what do you see as next for sport in sustainability?
So I think sports, rightfully so, realizes that it's a megaphone to the world, because sports have millions and millions of Gen Z fans and other generations, right? But I think I say Gen Z because sustainability ranks amongst the top 10 drivers of why they would support a sports or a sports team. And so, and it's the future generation. It's the largest workforce in America right now is Gen Z, right? And so I think sports realizes, at least from what I can see, that they are a megaphone and that they have a responsibility to share that and also to do it, and to have those partnerships that create some of that innovation and then ultimately inspire others to do the same. One good thing that I see coming out of it is that there's a lot of young people who are now very interested in sustainable engineering, environmental studies. I see some of these Ivy Leagues now have programs, sustainability in sports. I'm actually going to speak at Cornell University at the end of the month. I know, right? About sustainability, I did tell them, I was like, do you really want me to? They're like, yeah, we're excited. I was like, all right, hey, but I think that's great. I think it's great that universities are now taking charge of this because there's hope. I always believe this, right? I'm not a doomsday sayer. I'm not, I don't even know if that's a word, but I'm not that type of person. I really like to look at the up and up, because if you just look at the negativity and well, yeah, sure, you can always find something bad, right? But I love to highlight the good, when you highlight the good and you can share that message. And I think that's what sports is seeing. I think it inspires the youth to take action. And that's really what it's all about, is taking action and trying to figure out how to reverse some of these things that we've done to this planet.
Well, they can be reversed. And you and the Philadelphia Eagles are leading by example. And
Go Birds.
Go Birds. And we hope that your inspiration as you talk to these universities, and I just saw a press release that you did a tree planting in the city.
Yeah, not just me, a whole bunch of people.
A whole bunch of people, right? So,
although I did claim that one tree that I planted. I held it, and I talked to it, and I was like, "Hey, you're mine now."
Did you water?
I'm gonna go by. I did water it.
You did water it.
I did water it. Yeah, twice actually. Yeah.
It needs the inspiration, right? Yeah. So the kids need the inspiration. They need to look up to the role models who are really creating that change in the industry. So, last couple questions here. What's next for the Eagles in sustainability? Anything you can share?
Yeah. Okay. So we always have something, and on that goal line, sitting right there on that goal line. You see what I did there? That's kind of nice, right? I'm not going to give you everything here because we're going to announce this, right? But we are going to shortly be announcing a really cool project to offset our team travel. We like to, instead of just going out and purchasing Rex, which we also do to offset our energy consumption at the stadium.
So you buy a carbon offset Rex for the fuel consumption of flying the team.
Yep. But we also like to really invest into projects that are real, that are right there, that are affecting humans and animals alike, and that are multi-use projects. And so we're partnering with the National Marine Life Foundation, and we're going to announce a really cool project that we're going to be investing in that has to do with birds. So I think it'll be very excited to offset our team travel. So I'm super excited about it.
Well, stay tuned, folks, for this great announcement coming soon.
Yeah.
Mid-season?
No, probably in a month.
In a month?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And well, Norman, thank you so much. Really appreciate having you.
Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you so much.
Go Birds.
Go Birds.
This show's been produced by Danny Vagnoni with music
created and written by the artist known as Sahari, with artwork produced by Layla Afzal. I'm your host, Kareem Afzal. See you next time.